Hey folks, welcome to the channel. You know you are a hammock nerd when you get excited to talk about hammock suspensions. Well, that's what we're going to be doing today, is talking about those little straps that hang our hammocks from a tree. I just recently got a new hammock suspension called the Dynaglide Extreme Ultralight, and it weighs only 1.3 ounces, which just blows my mind that it is that light of weight. So I figured I'd come out here and give it a try, see how well it works with my hammock, how it is set up, and it's a little different than some other Whoopie Slings that I have. So that's what I am out here for today. So while I'm out here, I thought I would also go through some of the hammock suspensions that I have used throughout my hammock camping career. I'll talk about some of the pros and cons of each of those suspensions and why I choose certain ones when I go on my backpacking trip. So let me see if I can find a good pair of trees, and let's hang a hammock and check out these suspensions. So I brought along with me several of the hammock suspensions that I have used in the past. And I figure I would start with the very first one. These were straps that came, these are daisy chain hammock straps, and they came with the very first hammock that I got when I went hammock camping. So let me set up the hammock for the first time using these straps, and I'll talk about what I really do like about them, and then I'll talk about some of the obvious cons and why I don't use these anymore. So the pro of the daisy chain is the easy setup. You just loop it through itself on the end and secure it to the tree. You don't need any additional hardware. And then you just take your carabiner and you put it through whatever loop that you want. So if it's a little too loose, then you can hang it higher. Otherwise, if it's too tight, then you can hang it lower. And so that makes it super easy, super quick for setting up. So that is the real pro of the daisy chain. But now let me talk about some of the cons that I have with this type of hammock suspension. The real cons that I have with the daisy chain, specifically this one, is the weight. It weighs almost a pound. That's both straps, both carabiners. It weighs around 14 ounces. And it's bulky, so it doesn't easily fit into your pack. It takes up a lot of space. And so I was always looking for a better option, because I love the setup. I mean, this is so easy, especially when you're learning, when you're first learning about hammock camping. The daisy chain is really the way to go because it is such an easy setup. But there is such a weight penalty for this. Also, as I've gotten more into hammock camping and more refined, another problem I have is that I can't really fine tune my hammock. So because the loops are about 2 inches apart, your hammock is going to drop 2 inches every single time. And that, I mean, I'm not saying that's a huge deal, and I'm kind of a hammock snob maybe in that way, but you can't really dial in your hammock exactly how you want it. So you are limited a bit because of the daisy loops that exist. But super easy setup, but I think it's just too much of a weight penalty. But that was my very first hammock strap that I used on a backpacking trip. And then y'all know I love Dutch. I love his gear. What I found on his website is another daisy chain. So these are called so I have these right here. These are called the Spider daisy chain by Dutch, and they are significantly lighter, a lot smaller, easy to compact into your backpack. So I really started using these once I realized some of these cottage vendors that are out there selling more lightweight gear. And I also, along with this, I paired it with some other carabiners. Yeah, here we go. So this right here, I actually used these, found these on a hammock that I got, some hammock straps that I bought one time, and they're really small. So they're a lot smaller than the other type of carabiner, and they're also weight bearing. So with this, along with the Daisy Spider chain that I have, I think I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it probably knocked it down to around 6 ounces maybe, which is, you know, almost half, a little more than half than the other daisy chain. So I was very happy with that. But being the hammock snob that I am, I wanted to get lighter. I wanted to see if there was another type of hammock suspension that I could use. And that's when I found the Cinch Buckles. So let me get that set up. So you just loop around the tree, just like the daisy chain. Has this loop at the end. Just slide it through that. Tighten it up. And then you have this little place on the end for a carabiner. This is where I like to use my hammock carabiner. And then you have that. And you can just tighten or loosen however you want it. The issue that I've had with the cinch buckle, and this is me, right? This is just personally me, is it slips on me. I have fallen several times, and so I am always nervous getting into my hammock with a cinch buckle, because I'll be hanging out in my hammock sometimes, and then all of a sudden I'll feel it slip, and then I fall and hit my bottom on it. And so that's the only reason I never fell in love with the cinch buckle, is because I've found that it was continuing to slip on me. And I know there's ways that you can put like a half hitch knot at the end so it wouldn't slip back, that you could easily undo, but I didn't want to do knots, you know. I wanted to do something that was easy and straightforward. But the cinch buckle is a great option. Like I said, it's under 4 ounces. You can dial it in exactly how you want it, unlike the daisy chain, so there's that advantage. The Kevlar is very lightweight, super strong. Will be able to hold any weight that you have. And so this really is a very superior option. I just got nervous. And that's really the only con that I have, is I just got nervous of that cinch buckle. Because if you do not get that, you know, if that is not, you know, flush on there, make sure that that is on there exactly square. Because if it's at an angle, kind of like it is probably now, I think that's when I start getting into my trouble, is when that is not flush. You can see right there how it's off center. Make sure that that is dead straight center. It's a little hard for me to do it with one hand. But make sure that that is flush on that buckle. Otherwise, it will slip eventually. through the night. So cinch buckles didn't work out for me. That's when I learned about the Whoopie Sling. And I love the Whoopie Sling. That's been my go-to hammock suspension for the last couple years. So let me get that one set up and I'll talk about some of the pros and cons of it. So this is the Whoopie Sling, and it has a little Dutch hook on it. And you can already tell my tree's a little too big. It's one of the cons with the Whoopie Sling. But it has this little Dutch hook and it just slides in and out. All right, and then you take this little Dutch hook, you hook it on, so I don't need a carabiner. You just hook on to your continuous loop, like that. And you can see it's kind of loose, so you just tighten it up. So this is what they call a berry, and this is how you tighten and loosen the Whoopie Sling. So there's cordage that slips through here. So if I want to loosen it up, I'll squeeze in that berry a little bit, and then I can just lower my hammock down. All right. If I want to tighten it up, then I just slide that through, and then I'll raise the hammock. But the one thing you need to do, be absolutely sure about, is you got to squeeze or milk that berry, right? Because now when you've done that, now it's tight. Now it's not going to move. But if you leave that berry loose like that, that's when that cord could slip through and your weight could pull you down. So you can raise it exactly how you want, milk that berry, and then there you go. You have your hammock suspension. So the Whoopie Sling is my go-to hammock suspension when I go hammock camping right now. It's a little lighter weight than the Cinch Buckle. I think it's like 3.4 or 5 ounces, so not a lot lighter, but they've never slipped on me. And they pack down really small, they're really light, and I love them. I do love the Whoopie Slings. The only issues that I have with the Whoopie Slings is that your trees, for it to work best, need to be a certain distance. For me, around 20 feet or maybe a little over is what works best for me. And you hang your straps a little higher because the cordage is so long, and that berry that I showed you is so long that the trees have to be a little further apart. So with that being said, if they're close and you have a small tree, sometimes you've got to wrap that strap around it a few times to make it work. Or even now with this one, you see I have a fatter tree, and my cordage is coming through that, which is not a problem. I mean, it still works, but you could see where I might start running into a problem if my tree is too fat, which is not really an issue I've found with the daisy chains or the Cinch Buckle. Obviously, you could have a tree that is really huge and they're not going to fit around it. So there is some finagling with the Whoopie Slings. That's really the only con I would say, is it takes some getting used to. It's not just straight out of the box and hang it up. And like I said, these are a little bit lighter than my Cinch Buckles. They have never failed me as long as I squeeze that berry. They have never slipped or failed me in hanging. And they're just a little over 3 ounces. And I've always been looking, right? I've been looking for that next hammock suspension that's going to take me to another level. I mean, I'm already at 3 ounces. And so this is why I talk about, being kind of a hammock nerd and really trying to lower my weight. And I'm not an ultralight guy. I'm not an ultralight hammock camper. But if there is something out on the market that is a lighter weight, easier to compact into my backpack, then I want to check that out. And that's when I saw Dutch talk about this new hammock suspension called the Dynaglide Extreme ultralight suspension. And it doesn't use carabiners, it uses soft shackles, which is new to me. That's why I wanted to come out here and set it up. So I've got it in my bag there. I'm gonna pull it out, and this is the first time I've really tried to set it up. But combined weight, both straps and the soft shackles, it is like 1.4 ounces, I think. 1.4 ounces. And I know, I'm saving 2 ounces, right? Big whoop. But I just love the minimal factor of it. But now, let me just try setting it up and we'll see. It is a Whoopie Sling. It is a type of Whoopie Sling. The berry is supposed to be smaller and the strap lighter weight. And it does have a weight restriction on it. So it says 200 pounds. Well, I'm always at and around 200 pounds, so we will put that to the test today. But let me try to get this thing hung and see how well this works. And here's the strap. I think it's a 4-foot strap that goes around the tree. Let's try this. So it has a loop at the end, so I'm just going to pull my cordage through that loop like I would. Okay. They have a soft shackle instead of a carabiner, which is a lot less than any carabiner I have. So it goes around like that, and this is going to go through that loop. But first, let's get our continuous loop, slide it under that, and then we slide that through there, and that tightens up on it. So, and then that should be strong. You can see it is loose. So I'm just gonna slide through, tighten it up until the very end. So this button here really just helps that cord not slip all the way through. Do that, squeeze that berry. Ooh, squeeze that berry all the way through. Make sure it's all the way tight. And then, yeah, that should be good. All right, moment of truth. Here we go. Oh yeah. Yeah, that works out pretty well. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go on my next backpacking trip. I'm going to the Lost Creek Wilderness, and I'm going to be bringing this suspension along with me and giving it a try and see how well it works. But right now it works just as well as the Whoopie Sling that I had before, and it's 2 ounces lighter. And I like the fact that I don't need a carabiner. I like the soft shackle. So yeah, I think that's gonna work out well. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. That's been my hammock suspension evolution over the last 10 years. And I'm a bit in a hurry because I saw lightning pop in there just a minute ago, and looks like a storm is coming in. So I'm in a bit of a hurry to head back to the truck. But those are the different options that I have tried while hammock camping. The daisy chain is a great option. I think that's best for new beginners. If you're not so concerned about weight, then the daisy chains are super easy for setup and adjusting your hammock. You can't quite dial in how you want it, but you know, that may not be that big of a deal for you. And then the Cinch Buckles, which is a very superior option, very lightweight, and you can really dial in exactly how you want how high you want your hammock to hang. Just make sure that cinch is on that buckle square, or you'll slide off in the middle of the night and hit the ground. And then there's the Whoopie Sling, which is my preferred choice. I take that on most of my backpacking trips, especially if I'm doing a longer distance and more concerned about my weight. I like using the Whoopie Slings. So when I heard about the Dynaglide that Dutch was selling and how it was even lighter than the Whoopie Slings and the trees don't have to be as far apart, I was like, okay, let's try that out. And it seems to work. It's a Whoopie Sling and it seems to work, but we'll give it a test on a few of our backpacking trips this summer. And I might carry my extra Whoopie Slings the first couple times just to make sure that I'm not on the ground in the middle of the night. But it looks like it's going to be a great option. And oh yeah, I can see the wind and the rain coming in. So I'm going to wrap up this video. Thanks for making it to the end, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.